Brock is at his best when he's playing loose and confident and not getting into his own head. Kittle is the key. That's an interesting one. I want to talk to you about that, Grant. Kittle wore the Jimmy G t-shirt. I forget what it said exactly on it, but he wore it to the press
conference.
Feels
great, baby.
Yeah, feels great, baby, to the Amazon postgame show against Seattle. And I don't know. I thought that was a little cheesy. I thought it seemed a little confrontational. Brock's your quarterback now going forward, but he's loyal to Jimmy.
What are you trying to say, George?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely clear as day that George Kittle is going to add another level to his home because of Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy, if there's one thing that has stood out, he has made George Kittle much more like Travis Kelce. And that was a question we were all asking for the last year. Why can't George Kittle look like Travis Kelce? With Brock Purdy, he does look like Travis Kelce. Is that going to continue?
It seems like it, because it seems like Brock Purdy's very smart. It reminds me of what Steve Young used to do. You think this is Joe's team? Well, I'm going to take this team by feeding you. You're going to like me. I'm the one that gets you the ball, Jerry. We're going to be best friends. We're going to go golfing. We're going to do everything together. And I think Brock may feel like, oh, you don't accept me? I'm going to give you the ball so freaking much. You're going to love me. And I think that's very smart. That's how you handle it. And I always wondered, why is George so undyingly loyal to Jimmy? Do they have just a great friendship off the field? I don't know. I mean, he says that Jimmy doesn't return his texts in the offseason. To me, I always felt that maybe George was being strategic, and he felt, if I keep pumping this dude up, maybe he'll throw me the ball. Maybe the way I get the ball more is to praise him. And now it's like, well, you don't have to do that anymore. Now you're getting the ball because Brock Purdy wants to give it to you. So maybe we'll see George Kittle change his tune soon.
Interesting. We got a couple more super chats here. Go ahead, Rye. You want to jump in?
Well, I had a question for Grant about Kittle. So, because we were trying to kind of figure out, is it just simply Brock? Is it, apparently Shanahan called out Kittle for not getting as many yak yards or whatever, and then he went crazy. I can't figure out if it really is like Brock, if it's a change in the offense, or is it sort of, I was using the analogy of Bill Simmons. He used to always say about Gronk in Gronk's later years when he would deal with a bunch of injuries that Belichick would kind of use him like the weekend, sports car, the Ferrari. He'd keep the Ferrari in the garage because George, you get him the ball, he will keep running with a zillion defenders on him. And is it as simple as, now that they're kind of ramping up for the stretch run, it's okay, we feel confident, getting George involved, or is it really just the fact that it's Brock?
Well, here's the go back and look at the stretch run last year. Kittle was getting 4 catches, 28 yards in the playoffs, and that to me was an issue. And it's how can you let this happen in the biggest games? And I don't understand where Kyle's coming from. I think it's a play calling thing. It's not Jimmy. Kyle's calling the plays, and we talked about this. Kyle will forget about stars for whatever reason. Maybe he feels like, man, I got Kittle paid. Now I need to get Ayuk paid. Maybe he's just a good guy like that. But you can't let your star fade away for whatever reason. And it seems like what Purdy does is he's not necessarily going to the first read every time.
Yeah.
He's, seeing the whole field, throwing to the backside of the play, getting to it. So if Kittle's open, he's hitting him. Whereas Jimmy might be like, well, Kyle told me to throw here. I think that might be the difference.
I think also Purdy is really adept at buying time in the pocket and then keeping his eyes on his receivers. And then it's he does it all at once. He moves in the pocket, keeps his eyes on his receivers, and then they kind of have this innate knowledge to kind of move to the open spot, and then he hits them in stride. The Niner guy says 1999 donation. Biggest fear is the off scrambling quarterbacks and the off schedule deep balls. That's their Achilles heel. Thanks for the content, fellas. Quality Control and Kruger have saved the Niners season.
Yay!